introduction. We are more or less, it's done. Next, I will do a short, give you a short definition how we define the IoT market segment. Then why we believe IoT is disruptive for the industry, for you as providers, but for your customers. Then Frank will give you an overview about the European IoT market or from a quantitative perspective. And then we will have two main parts. On the one side, the disruptive impact of IoT for IT buyers and the disruptive impact of IoT on IT providers, so like you. Last but not least, we will give you our view on recommendations, how we will see it. And last but not least, we will end the session with a Q&A, as mentioned before. Before starting with the definition, I want have a look on our innovation register. That's something we provided since a few months, and we are collecting IoT-related use cases all over the world. And meanwhile, we have more than 270 use cases online, and we are planning to add every month minimum 20 new cases. And it's something we were asked from our IT buyers, customers, that to have a database where they can have a look, what other customers are doing, what's the trends, what successful cases. And so we started to collect these cases and provide it in a freemium model. So you have to be registered. So as a SITSI customer, you will always access to this, and you can search for cases in different industries, countries, and compare what customers from different regions are doing. That's a quite important tool for us, and we will develop it over the time, add new functions. Also we'll add new type of cases. So the next will be the more customer experience related cases, and you will all find this under the web address www.innovation-register.com or via our PAC's homepage as well. As I said before, I will start with a short overview about our general market segmentation, so what we see or how we structure the Internet of Things market. So of course we have always a look on the different vertical markets, and that's only a few examples, like the industrial IoT, or as we say in the German-speaking area, Industry 4.0. Another important research area is connected car, topics also from autonomous driving, but also remote management, car perspective, smart energy, smart healthcare, and there are many other topics which we are adding, like smart finance, smart transport, etc. And there will come further topics where we structure the market. From a technology domain perspective, we have the segments below it. In local intelligence, or the embedded, the sensors, etc. as one market segment. Another one, the vertical integration. So in the context of IoT, the ERP, CRM integration. Then horizontal integration, where we have this cloud platforms, mobility topics, human-machine interaction, so a lot of consulting of changes of roles, but also the I/O interface. And last but not least, security, which is a very important, relevant element which enables Internet of Things, or which is a key factor to make IoT services, new products successful. Last but not least, also we compare the IoT market in our standard segments in hardware, software services, and others, so that it's comparable with all our market figures you know from PAC. We started last year with a kind of a maturity model of IoT cases, and we updated it the first time this year. So that's a new one, where we have on the left side what's the share of IoT engagements today, and you can see that the biggest share is still in the area of the data area, so to create data, to capture and storage data. So it's 48% of the cases can be seen in this area. The next big part, that's a very increasing area compared to last year already, that's analytics level, I would say, where we split also in the things to dashboard and the things to action. So that's the maturity of the IoT cases. Last but not least, the area of where we see a real change or will new business models. And here we see today 10% of cases in the improvement of existing business model, improvement section, and 2% today are real new disruptive cases. And on the right side, you see what we expect will be the percentage in 2020, and so a big portion will be also in the business model improvement or will new disruptive models, so 30%. It's will changing our world, and that's a good keyword for me, because today we want to talk about the disruptive change of IoT, and I will give you only for the beginning a few examples of how IoT changes the game. And for example, have a look on what the typical workplace for service technicians is changing for warehouseman, postman, or assembly and mechanical engineering. And only a few seconds, some examples. As you can see, the old world of a service technicians, and today with help of new solutions devices, with virtual reality or remote support from teams, they can sit all over the world, and you have a better education, better quality of services in the field. Another one, the typical with the warehouse man, that's the old world on the left side. There will people are running, and have a look. I hope it works from a technical perspective. A short video, what we see today or in warehouses. As you can see, no more people anymore, and everything is automated. That's one case. Another real changes in the postman's workplace. So this guy who delivered our parcels coming to the door, and yeah, maybe in the future we will the parcel will be delivered by drones, or this smart little vehicles which can distribute the last mile up to your door. Or of course the worker's place in the assembling, so the worker really worked manually alone, worked on with his tools, and now we see a lot of collaboration together, working hand in hand with robotics, or have a guidance with automatic virtual reality videos in a worker's place, and it's a new collaboration between machine and people anymore. But that's only some ideas where we see the change already, and yeah, of course, will have impact on your world. Before I hand over, last but not least, again, for your better understanding, when we talk about the market, what we see in the different area of local intelligence, as I said before, the sensors, actuators, embedded systems, artificial intelligence, vertical integration with ERP, words, SCADA systems, industry-specific information systems and analytics. And on a horizontal integration, machine cloud platforms, machine-to-machine connectivity, mobility, but also supply chain management, when we talk also about the supply chain networks and human-machine interaction interfaces, IoT design, OS processes, and all around is end-to-end security. Yeah, and now I want to hand over to my colleague Frank Nazar from Paris, who will give you some market figures. Yeah, Frank.
Thank you, Klaus. So yes, I will give you some of our figures for the European market, and you have access, if you are a SITSI customer, you have access of all the detailed figures and rankings that we can do, and analysis we can do at European level. And here I will give you an overview of these figures. So if we can go to the next slide. Okay, so this is the first view of the market by subsegment, as Klaus explained you. So today, in 2015, to be exact, the total IoT market in Europe, in Western Europe, was 68 billion euros. And will benefit from a CAGR of more than 16% for the period from 2015 to 2019. So 16% is quite a huge growth, especially if we compare this growth with the overall total IT expenditure for the same period in Europe, which will be only 1.7%. So on one hand, we have IoT with an average growth of 16%, when the total IT expenditure will be less than 2% average growth on this period. Then that means that the IoT represented 13% of total IT expenditure in Europe in 2015, and this share will be 22% in 2019. So it will be clearly it is already an important segment of the market, but in 2019 it will be almost a quarter of the market. So at PSC, we believe that industrial IoT will be the main driver of the total IoT market. Why? Because project TCV will be quite high, as they will be complex or even very complex. You can see here that 20 billion euro will be on top of the market in 2015. So in 2019, the market will have more or less double its size. So this IoT project will lead, of course, to higher efficiency, but at the same time will reduce the consumption of resources. Automation will be key, and resources could be material, people, and so on. Furthermore, so you have the internal aspect, improves the internal processes, but the industrial internet also paves the way for new services and new business models. And for instance, today we all know about kind of new services. It's not a real new service, but it's an improvement of an existing services like predictive maintenance, which is more and more deployed in the manufacturing sector. The field of the IoT with regards to connected car is also developing rapidly. Currently, we are in a state where assisted driving is possible, but with each step closer to the final goal of autonomous driving, the market will grow along the way. As long, of course, as manufacturers and providers, hardware, software, services providers are able to deliver products with additional value for the users. Because what will be clearly different is that the value will be more and more seen through the services on top of a product, and not from only a product in the coming years. So this will be really a challenge for manufacturers, or for end-user companies, but also for you as providers. If we talk now about energy, since resources and especially energy management is becoming increasingly important, the topic of smart energy, of course, is on the rise. Smart grids and also smart metering will be further developed and contribute to the growth of the Internet of Things market. You will see in my next slide that there is some difference from one country to another one, of course. And to finish on this slide, at the moment, smart health is in an early stage. You can see the market is the smallest one, but with the problem of an aging society in many countries, especially in Europe, this topic would be increasingly important in the coming years. So smart health, and especially telemedicine, will be a solution for the increasing demand for caregivers and other nursing and medical staff. So if we move to next slide now, you will see here the same market, so our Western European IoT market, with a view by country. So we've put here only the three, I would say, largest country in Europe, so Germany, France, and UK. So what we can say here is that Germany is clearly more mature than the European average on IoT compared to IT. France is a bit more mature on IoT than IT, when UK is clearly less mature. This is clearly seen by the weight of each country on IoT compared to total IT expenditure in 2015. To be clear, in Germany, counts for 29% of the total Western European IoT market, compared to only 23% for the total IT expenditure in Western Europe. So IoT, Germany, the part of Germany on IoT is higher than the part of IoT on IT expenditure. For France, we have France counts for 17% of Western European IoT market compared to 16% for the IT expenditure, so more or less the same. And UK accounts for 17% also of Western Europe regarding IoT, compared to 20% for IT expenditure. So we can see here that IoT is for now less developed in UK than in Germany. In Germany and France, the main growth contributor will be industrial IoT, which is the main IoT market. So industrial IoT in Germany accounts for more than 40% of the total IoT market. So it's clearly very important. And it counts for 28% of the French market. And in both countries, the average growth rate of industrial IoT will be more or less 18%. Okay, and for instance, in UK, industrial IoT counts only for 22% of the overall IoT market. So, of course, in manufacturing is less important in UK than in Germany or in France. And today, yes, Germany, we can say that Germany is clearly more mature on this topic than France or UK. And it's mainly due to its national plan Industry 4.0 that Klaus mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. For UK, the main growth driver, the main growth contributor, I would say, will be smart energy, which today accounts for 28% of the total IoT market, and will benefit of a CAGR of 15% from 2015 to 2019. So as a comparison, the smart energy market in Germany counts only for 15%. So we can say that depending on the topic, depending on the context, the market or the segments will be more or less developed in one country to another one. So I will let now Joachim explain our view on how we see the disruptive impact of IoT on IT buyers.
Yeah, hello everybody. I will share with you some findings about PAC user program in terms of IoT and digitalization, give you some details about what's going on in IT buyer companies in terms of IT projects. Next slide, please. Klaus, yeah. Let's start with a general overview about what's going on in the market in terms in the IT and digital transformation related environment. On the left hand side you see major well-known logos from the traditional industries like PAG and EDF. These companies mostly have already started first IoT and digital transformation projects. Most of them, or some of them, are more focusing on the customer experience side. Some are focusing on IoT-related technology to enhance existing business models. For example, John Deere has introduced a smart farming solution. EDF from France, a utility company from France, has already smart home products in its offerings. Many initiatives or programs in the IoT space have been started under the pressure of what we call Uberization. It's an answer to the pressure coming from digital companies you see on the right-hand side, like Airbnb or Jawbone, which have established completely new business model based on digital and IoT technology. You see on the right-hand side only a small list of examples. Of course, you can add companies like Spotify, eBay, Napster, or even Alibaba as well. So that's a general view on this market. Next slide, please, Klaus. When we dive a little bit deeper in the PAC segmentations, like connected car, industrial internet, smart energy, and smart health, you see a little more specific services that have been established in many companies already. Let me highlight the usage-based insurance as, on the left-hand side below the connected car headline as a remarkable example for how the roles within a vertical could be changed through IoT technologies. UBI, or usage-based insurance, allows companies to provide very individual insurance contracts based on movement data or driver behavior. The needed data are delivered by connected cars, and of course the OEMs do have access to all these data in a very detailed manner. And so some automotive companies already have started UBI initiatives without support from insurance companies. Basically, they do not need an insurance company to offer such an UBI offering. On the other hand, of course, insurance companies strive for UBI contracts as well. They are using OBD connectors or even smartphones to implement such insurance offerings. And that's a remarkable example on how IoT technology establish new ecosystems as well as new competitor landscapes within a vertical sector. Next slide, please, Klaus. If we dive a little bit deeper into our innovation register, the following slides are showing some remarkable examples from our innovation register. If you like, you could dial in or could a little bit deep dive into on your own the innovation register you will find on the PAC website. I would like to show you only some remarkable results from the innovation register. Let's start with this Maersk case. Maersk is an international container shipping company from Denmark, and it has equipped reefer containers with sensors for measuring inside and outside temperature or location and movements or energy consumption and so on, and with a goal to set up a more efficient processes for the maintenance. And with this IoT-based solution, the company has already saved millions of dollars in manual maintenance expenses. But what's more important or more remarkable in this case is that this technology is ideal base for further client services. For example, in the reporting issue, so clients of Maersk can get more access to data in terms of freezer and cold chains to report, for example, closed cold chain for medical freight issues and so on. Next slide, please. The next example comes from Sweden. It's an ESAB. ESAB is a welding producer of welding goods or welding tools, and the company has equipped his tools as well with IoT sensors and technology, and all the transfers are transferred to a central cloud called Weld Cloud, that gives clients access to information about the usage and utilization of the welding machines. This use case here shows how machine network can enhance the services of a company and increase customer loyalty, and additionally new services such as central cockpit can be designed around the Weld Cloud that offers ESAB new access or more further access to new services. Next slide, please. The next example comes from Germany. It's cargo telematics. It's a similar example where the Cargobull is a German trailer company that has equipped its newest trailers with sensors and connectivity, which allows clients and optimized fleet management, for example, and improves the trailer utilization through the means of IoT analytics and real-time data. But what's more important or remarkable is that this technology has established the base for new business models like trailer sharing. This service has not been implemented yet, but the technology base has been already established, so it might be a future service for Schmidt's Cargobull. Next slide, please. Very interesting case is this, again from Germany. Harvey Logistics is a logistics company from Germany that with a long-standing business relationship to a major restaurant chain in Germany. And the logistic company Harvey has gathered many sales data from the past, and at one point has decided to combine all this historical delivery data with environmental data, like have there been events in close to the restaurant, how was the weather, are there public holidays, and so on. With this combination of sales data and environmental data, the company has developed sales pattern and which can be used for sales forecasting. Under the bottom line, today Harvey can provide every single restaurant a specific forecast for every single product based on big data analytics. Next slide, please. And another further example comes from France. Michelin, I think everyone knows Michelin, a tire producer, and Michelin embeds RFID tags into the sidewall of the tire for trailers and heavy coaches. And this technology helps Michelin to enhance its tire selling business with client services like Michelin Tire Care, that helps clients to reduce truck immobilization caused by maintenance work and so on. And the result is that many logistic companies achieve better planning in reliability and increased traffic safety, for example. The next slide, please. The next example comes from Great Britain, from the UK. This is the last example from our innovation register I'd like to share with you. And Rolls-Royce has implemented so-called engine health management for its engines, and it monitors the current state of airplanes engines in real time with onboard sensors. And that's another example for predictive maintenance and new client services. Next slide, please. What we see is that the funding of IoT initiatives usually comes from existing budgets or from legacy sources. What you see on this slide is a result from our CXO survey, from our annual CXO survey among C-level decision makers, and most of these C-level decision makers strive to save money for IoT or digital initiatives from for example, from relationship with providers, as you see at the first bar on this slide. And so the main message behind this picture is that companies will not start tapping new financial sources. Most of the companies will relocate budgets from the traditional or legacy environment towards digital or IoT topics. Next slide, please. What we also see is that the role of the decision makers is changing. When you look at the decision maker segment on this slide, you see the CIO as a part as a major part of the decision making process, and for example in the gatekeeper process. When you switch to the new world on the next slide, please, you can see that the CIO role in decision the decision making has disappeared. In an IoT-related environment, the COO and CMO become a very important part in the decision making instead of the CIO. And in general, the CIO becomes less important for IoT initiatives. That we think is an unavoidable trend, as IoT and digital are mainly business-driven topics, and but nevertheless, IT remains a very important component, as we see on the next slide, please. Here you see an overview, short overview, a brief overview about the platform business. We think that platforms will play a key role in every IoT and digital business, digital program, and this slide shows only some major examples for IoT platforms, IoT platforms, and business platforms. And this slide indicates that IoT and IoT will become much more complex in the future. And what's very important for long-term success is to integrate as well IT platforms and legacy IT environments with a new IoT and digital solutions to avoid, for example, data and process silos. And against this background, it's very important to have IT and CIOs as well as IT service provider integrated in the process of develop new IoT and digital projects. So that's my view on the buyer side of the IoT market, and now I'd like to hand over to Milos for the provider part of our webinar.
Thank you, Joachim. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'd like to share a bit more information and insights with you about the impact of IoT on the provider side and the provider landscape, and to observe where the disruptive impact is here. So if we go to the first slide, please. Yeah, here. Disruption in the IoT provider ecosystem is definitely going on, but we should understand why is it so. So IoT should definitely be a win-win game, or let's say win-win-win game for everyone. So from IT providers to IT users, but also for very end users, which are people. So IT providers would benefit mostly from by reducing their operating costs and increasing revenue, as well as end users like IT buyers. But people will benefit from better customer experience, for example, better products, better service, better customer service. So all the stakeholders in this ecosystem should be happy, really. And therefore, it's not strange why every company would like to become the piece of value in the IoT value chain and benefit from it. For example, IT providers are in best position to benefit from IoT, but we have many more players trying to get their seat at the IoT table. So here we have software providers, then infrastructure providers, hardware companies, telecom companies, but also some players that originally weren't supposed or weren't focused on IT ecosystems, such as, for example, consulting companies and marketing agencies and marketing companies. And even to make it even more attractive for others, we have IT buyers joining this IoT ship, and they want to also become IT providers. So if we go to the next slide, we have basically a figure showing the ecosystem of the IoT. And we have all these players, including IT buyers, competing to get a piece of the market, with some of example companies shown here. We just selected a couple of them for each segment here. So, but the question is basically how do they get there? The power of IoT is really in its ecosystem, and in which no one can make it alone. And I believe actually that if we take an example of companies that traditionally weren't oriented on IT industry, such as, for example, marketing giants WPP, they spot the potential that their original focus area, which was marketing, can benefit and can make an impact in customer experience part of the IoT. So now we can see them activating their local ecosystem and partnering with software and IT services providers such as Everything and YouMagine to develop innovation kit for its own agencies that they can use in their advertising campaign. So the key here is basically integration of IoT into their core business, which can then be redeveloped accordingly. If we take a look at the next slide, we have basically to understand how to get the full benefit of IoT, because we mentioned activating the company's ecosystem through which goes on basically through joining alliances and developing partnerships. So we can see here the collaboration is the key, and it has to have a wide set of players, such as partners, clients, but some other players as well that could potentially be competitors, but for greater good they need to cooperate. Another important aspect is co-investment, which is basically where you can see the trend of IT service companies co-investing in IoT solutions with IT buyers companies. So this is also a win-win situation where IT buyers companies will get their IoT solution developed based on their needs, cheaper as it's co-invested with IT providers, whereas IT providers can reuse the solutions with other clients. As a result, both companies can increase their revenues in several ways. First, they can actually increase the revenue of existing business and develop new products and services, therefore new revenue streams as well. But now, these newly developed products and services also drive the increase in growing existing business as well. So we can take a look at some of the real examples on the next slide. So we have disruptive power of IoT shown on the next slide. Here, yeah, okay. So we have 6 categories of providers from the first slide that I presented. We have telecom companies, IT service providers, infrastructure providers, hardware companies, and so on. Let's have a look how they get disrupted with IoT. So for example, telecom industry is a great example where we have telcos increasing their core business, which is selling more SIM cards. We have EE had 2.1 million MPM connections, which are part of IoT solutions. And whereas Vodafone had 22.9 million on a global level. They now offer IoT solutions as well, and as a result of this IoT demand. So basically they expanded their services into other areas, into IoT solutions. Then we have IT service providers that should be in a position to boost their digital revenues, like from their digital transformation practices, where they can improve their offerings and offer a wider set of solutions with IoT. Another benefit for them is that these types of IoT initiatives can drive their other businesses forward, such as application and infrastructure services. And then we have infrastructure providers such as cloud providers, that they can drive their cloud revenues up as IoT generates loads of new data and demand also grows. Moreover, if they bundle their offering with some analytics packages, they can further improve their position in the market. Same goes for hardware companies, where we see many of them developing hardware dedicated to IoT. Great example are some of the chip makers that expect this kind of business to grow their overall business in the future. Moreover, they also can offer software bundled with hardware, such as, for example, embedded software and accompanying analytics solutions. Then we also have these marketing companies that we mentioned. So they are basically newcomers to IT industry, and this will drive their digital consulting revenues up, and they will be in position to integrate their core marketing offer into digital consulting and provide extra value. And finally, we have IT buyers, which originally didn't go into IT industry at all. They just bought systems what they needed, but now we have many more trying to sell new solutions and their in-house software solutions to other IT buyers and have completely new playground. So great experiences, for example is GE, where we can see they developed their digital offering to sell its IoT solutions based on Predict's platform to another manufacturing and industrial companies. I think I'm done with slides here, and I'll give it back to Frank.
Thank you, Milos. Well, as a conclusion, I will share with you some of our recommendations for vendors. Of course, it's not exhaustive. Of course, we can work closely with you to have a dedicated recommendation, but those are our, I would say, general recommendation. So if we move to the next slide, and those recommendations are not ranked. This one is not the first and the more important one. Okay, it's all our recommendations. So context. What is today a context? For us, build dedicated offering adapted to the different contexts. For us, a context is something which is more complex than just a vertical sector. So, for instance, a context will be the city, a city, home, a car, a factory, and so on. So this is something that is more than just a vertical sector. So this is something quite different for vendors, as most of the time you have been organized by a vertical sector. So this should be done, dedicated offering by context should be done by pursuing pragmatic approaches that allow to have a very fast return first. This is very important to validate the concept before launching the project on a larger scale. On this IoT topic, it's clearly key to validate concept, and this is why use cases is clearly important, as the IoT market is at its early stage. Also, I would say more or less, of course, depending on countries, context, and topics, of course. But as the market is clearly at its early stage, there are few or almost no off-the-shelf end-to-end offering today around IoT. So today, IoT projects are managed like many, I would say, under bracket, traditional IT projects. That is, they are managed as customized projects, more or less 100% customized. This customized project, starting from scratch, therefore requires the creation of use cases, of course in cooperation with the client, and sometimes there are many use cases. To find some of them developed through proof of concepts, which themselves can potentially lead to large-scale projects. Capitalizing on these use cases appears today for us as a success factor by using them as a basis for future standardized offering. So I can give you an example of a French manufacturer who decided to move from I would say, a traditional plant system to smart factories. And this manufacturer today has more than 300 factories around the world, so it was quite big. And first, with the help of a provider, they built 200 use cases. So 200 is a lot. Then they did 40 proof of concept to finally end up with 13 priorities / projects. So you can see that a lot of ideas are coming, but at the end, yes, there is a large gap between use cases and a real project on a large scale. So use cases, we say that a dedicated offering by context, working on use cases, to help building this dedicated offering by context mean develop consulting skills, both I would say management or business consulting and technical / IT consulting, of course, in order also to be associated as a partner in the very first thoughts of end user company on the subject. We all know that the earliest we are in the game, and the highest will be our possibility to win a contract. So the other key element here is that the decision maker today are not from the IT department, as Joachim told you, but mostly from business line. So if a provider have no access to business line, it will be much more difficult to develop their activities in IoT, and most of the time when you do management or business consulting, of course, you are talking with business line. Another key topic for us, of course, is cloud. So cloud is one of the key technological enablers of IoT, allowing for quick time to market, because speed is clearly also a key word, and I will come back on that. Cloud allow the ability to handle very important volumes of data, etc., etc. So today providers must be able to offer these technological solutions either themselves or as an integrator or as an orchestrator. This is really key to be legitimate in the IoT market. And today most of the platforms proposed on the market that are part of the market are clearly cloud-based. Another key element for us, and we already talked about that, is security. So as part of IoT project, infrastructure must be protected, but also the data collected. So for us, the main requirement to secure IoT are security in and around the connected object, of course, security in and around the network, and data security clearly. Providers must master the different components of security required for a successful IoT project, especially when we are talking about B2B projects. So here I'm not saying that security is not key for B2C project, but it's often less critical, meaning if my smartwatch is not 100% secure, it's less critical than a security breach in a factory. So beyond pure security and technical security, I would say, our cyber security, key elements here are also business continuity plans and risk management that, one more time, are much more business-oriented topics than pure security. As a service model, today with the rise of cloud, it appears inevitable that end-user companies want more and more access to everything through as a service model. So now the central question is the timing of implementation of these changes, short, medium, long term. The vast majority of providers today are not ready to provide this business model. However, they should seriously consider it to avoid being unprepared when the demand will accelerate in order to not lose the game. If we can move to next slide. So ecosystem, we already talked about this, but today in most cases providers cannot manage the entire value chain of hardware, software, connectivity, interoperability and services on their own. So they must create a partner ecosystem, including startups, and we are now in a world of co-competition. Sometimes we are competitors, sometimes we are partners. And providers, so it could be service provider, it could be a software one, it could be a hardware one, must position themselves as prime contractor to end-user companies. And it's clear that those providers with the most efficient ecosystem will be, for us, among the winners. Another key, I would say, key word in this area of IoT is, of course, innovation. Innovation is key, and end-user companies approve of projects where their provider co-invests with them. This shows their commitment to the customer. So you are not only selling your product or your services or your software, but you have a real commitment to innovate with them. On the other hand, providers, of course, can also take advantage of this co-investment model to develop new offerings for other customers. So the first customers will benefit initially from an exclusivity, and the provider can then return on their investment by selling to other customers. Another topic which is clearly important is speed. Speed today is a key element in the success of an IoT project. This is clearly a challenge for end-user companies, including manufacturers who are accustomed to long innovation or long development cycles. Today, manufacturers frequently use to state years as a reference for these cycles. For IoT, we are talking about months or even weeks, and this is a clear, huge change for them. That's why, by the way, a lot of manufacturers today invest in startups that would provide them with the speed required. But this is also a challenge for providers because you as providers must be also able to mobilize a project team very quickly and work iteratively to speed up the go-to-market of your customers. This is clearly a key element. Another key topic, analytics or big data, depends on which part you are positioned, but today clearly a big part of the added value of the IoT comes from the use and analysis of the data gathered by the connected object. Without this analysis, it is not really useful to connect the object, in fact. And providers today really need to integrate analytical or big data components in all their IoT projects from the beginning of discussion with their customer. It is key today to have this analytics part on top of the discussion from the beginning of the discussion that you can have with your prospects. This is clearly key. Without this layer, the return on investment of the IoT project will probably be very low. Another key topic is IP, intellectual property. Today it's becoming increasingly difficult to position oneself in topic of digital transformation overall, but especially like IoT, without having at least one IP asset on which project can be based. So this is why we see today more and more IT services providers developing their own components from their experience, from their projects, or from startup acquisition also to benefit from innovative technologies. And of course, other providers who already have assets like software or products, robots, cobots, or whatever, have already this IP part. Last but not least, integration. So from the outset, IT service providers can be seen as the best position to offer end-to-end services, notably based on their ability to integrate the different technological layers of the IoT, so hardware, software, connectivity, and interoperability between them, of course, but also with the rest of the information system. So today, yes, as IT service provider are best positioned, but we guess that also the other providers on the market, and Milos told you about the different kind of provider, will probably also develop their service offerings. Then we'll see who will win the game at the end. So thank you very much for your attention. I will let Klaus for the questions, Q&A sessions.
Yeah, Frank, thank you very much. And I know we are more or less out of time, but there were a few questions in the chat which maybe we can answer, and I want to invite you also, you can send us your questions also afterwards, and we will come back to you and we'll answer and start a dialogue with you. But let me see into the chat and let's pick the first question. There's one question that's related to the IoT provider ecosystem. What is the best way to initiate the local ecosystems for IT provider companies? I would say for my colleagues, Milos, maybe that's a question related to your topic. Maybe you can answer it.
Well, yes, of course. So initiating local ecosystems for IT providers is the key, as we mentioned. And I think that basically companies need to make sure that they have their IoT value proposition right, and that IT provider companies actually need to look at vertical segments where they are best and try to leverage their existing footprint with their existing and current accounts. So thinking outside the box is important, and looking how to develop an IoT solution to improve their current accounts value in the value chain. Then with co-investment approach is certainly a cost-effective way to getting into the IoT business. I also think it should be pointed out that IoT as a technology that provides connectivity can support cross-vertical solutions and business models. Here, end-user companies from different industries can benefit on IoT together. And I think IT providers need to be there to support these kinds of initiatives. Finally, great example would be using connected car solutions to bring together car manufacturers and insurance companies. So this approach is not limited to car manufacturers only, but is available also to some kind of other asset manufacturing companies requiring insurance services as well. So I think these are kind of examples that IT providers should look into.
Okay, so thank you, Milos. Let me see